On the telephone line today is Grammy-winning musician, blues icon, who has performed with Johnny Winters and many other stars. We welcome to the program Paul Nelson. Paul, Brian C., thanks for being with me on KMET Radio.
Hey, what's up, buddy? I got to tell you, if ever there was some intro music that wakes somebody up, that was it.
Oh, we need energy here, Paul. We need energy. Paul, you are recognized as one of today's top guitarists, songwriters. Take us back to your roots of music and what inspired you on becoming a guitarist.
Roots, Hendrix, obviously, Johnny Winter, ZZ Top, Billy Gibbons, classic rock guys, blues guys, Jeff Beck, fusion guys. And then when I knew that I wanted to pursue it professionally, I enrolled in Berkeley, started taking lessons with Steve Vai off campus, and then I went out on the road, started joining a lot of bands, and became a session guy. That's where I met Johnny Winter. We hit it off. I wrote songs for him. He asked me to come on tour. Then he asked me to produce him. And that's how I played the world with him before, during, and after. And it just keeps on going. That's the tip of the iceberg, but that's how quick it happens in the music world, as you know.
Now, Paul, for those listening who are not familiar with Johnny Winters, can you give us a little information, a little bio on Johnny and who Johnny Winters was?
Absolutely. I joined Johnny early 2000s, but his career spans from the 60s when he was 12 and got a record deal in Texas with his brother Edgar, who wrote, people will know the song Frankenstein. They've heard it a million times. They've heard it on car commercials and regular music, radio. But Johnny was his older brother. They were both albino, and Johnny was the guitar blues rock god of the Woodstock, and then right through the 70s, he signed the largest deal of his time with Clive Davis, which is documented in a movie I'm in with Johnny about his life called Down and Dirty. And he influenced everyone. He played with Hendrix. He played with all the top guys, and he was revered for his slide playing, his regular guitar playing, and the voice, which was a combination of his influences of Ray Charles and Bobby Blue Bland. And he coined the phrase after Chuck Berry, rock and roll, and he worked extensively with Muddy Waters to help revitalize his career, which turned into albums like Hard Again, and which he got like 3 Grammys for, a series of albums. So he was influential in bringing back the blues about 2 decades ago. And I met him, and it was like a free guitar lesson every day. And he had a lot of demons, as those rock icon stars do. And I weaned him off all the stuff, and he had a really good life towards the end. And now we're here today, and I'm continuing the legacy on my own.
Yeah, now part of your legacy, Paul, is that you were only the second guitarist to be selected to play with Paul. Is that correct?
You've done your homework. Yes, it was myself, Rick Derringer, and one other, Floyd Radford. But to actually record with Johnny, to play live with Johnny, yes, you're absolutely correct. Good job.
Yeah, no question. Now, you have played alongside greats such as Clapton, Buddy Guy, the Allman Brothers. What have you learned most, or did you learn anything from playing alongside these superstar musicians?
It's really wild, because when Johnny used to be asked the question, hey, what was it like to play with Muddy? Did you learn anything? He would say, well, I already knew it coming in. But you do learn stuff from these artists. You trade off riffs. Like a month ago, I was playing at Buddy Guy's Legends in Chicago, and all of a sudden, Buddy Guy just jumps on stage. He goes, Paul, I love playing with you guys. I love your playing. And he sat in for 30 minutes. So here I am listening to his voice. If it's a guitar player, you're learning the riffs. You're going off of ideas. And when you go to see these giant mega festivals where there's 5, 6, 7 bands, what's going on backstage is this artist is meeting this artist and says, let's collaborate, or this drummer meets this bass player. So full albums are created, not just from the show in the front that the audience sees, but in the back, the networking. So you're constantly learning. networking, creating albums, getting contacts, and that's how it works. And that's how you get dates on the book, and that's how you keep your career going.
We're talking to blues icon Paul Nelson. Paul, when you made it to the big leagues of music, did you have to learn the business side of the industry? Was it a tough adjustment to learn the business side? You had to get an agent. You had to watch your back for finances and all that,
yep.
all that jazz.
Another great question. All that stuff is important, as you know. Publicists who got in contact with you. Radio to help promote the artist, like you guys are doing, magazines, online, the financial end of it, the manager, the booking agent, all that, when it works properly, is a perfect orchestration. And everybody, when an artist has dates on the book and a tour, all that stuff comes into play. And you try to find the best people, the best representation. You make sure all the paperwork's all good and this and that. And then the artist is allowed to do their thing. As long as they keep track of stuff as it goes. We've heard a lot of horror stories. Johnny had some horror stories. Other artists have. We've heard it all. But I'm pretty secure in that fact. And yes, a musician isn't just a musician now. You have to be aware of everything, unless you're in this fog, and that's when the problems occur. But I'm on top of it. So yes, it's again another great question. That's the lifeblood of these artists,
Yeah. Now, Paul, do you like the way the business music is in 2019 and years to come with the streaming? You must have seen a big transformation in the way music is sold, huh?
Yep. Everybody's making a mad dash to get this stuff categorized and with the meta tags and making sure that the revenue stream is correct. But I will tell you, as a guitar player, there couldn't be a better time now. Guys like myself, Joe Bonamassa, Warren Haynes, Sonny Landreth, all these blues rock guys have made the guitar acceptable again, in demand. So, there's only so many venues and only so many artists that can play in here or there. So it's a really good time. People let me put it this way. The blues people want a little rock in their blues now, and the rock people want a little blues in their rock. So all the genres, blues, rock, even Southern rock, you hear a lot of slide guitar today. They're all connecting, which is building a bigger audience and a bigger music community. And once people really experience and understand the meaning of a live performance that only occurs once in that moment, then they go. And that's what's happening with me. I'm fortunate enough, you got to know your stuff, you got to know your craft, you got to practice, you got to write good stuff, you have to appeal to people, not just yourself. And if you do the right stuff, it happens. And I've been very fortunate in that respect. Like the list of players you mentioned, it's insane, it just sort of happens. And I'm on tour now. I was just in the Netherlands yesterday. Did a big G4 tour with a lot of great players. And even over there, guitar is huge, guitar music. But I also like the show part of it. So, I have some great players. That's important too. But, guitar is back, period.
Yeah, and your recognition definitely helps with that. And Winter's 2015 album, Step Back, won both of you a Blues Grammy Award. Congratulations on that. Can you talk about
that was a big moment.
That album? Yeah, you're welcome. Can you talk about that album, which was critically acclaimed by the music industry?
Yes, absolutely. Started off as a dream. I approached Johnny Winter, who was really into the blues in the 70s. When he went sort of rock, he felt that he sold himself short a little bit to the blues community. So when I met him, he was now an elderly statesman of the blues, that kind of thing. So I helped his career in that respect. So he asked me to produce his album as well as play on it. So I said, well, let's come up with a concept. I go, how about we make albums that showcase you playing songs by artists that influenced you, and we'll bring in a bunch of friends, your cohorts, And he said, "Oh, that's great. I want to do a full blues album." He goes, "What do I have to do?" I go, "You have to pick the songs." So in 5 minutes, he picked 11 songs. He goes, "I want one by Chuck Berry. I want one by T-Bone, Robert Johnson, this and that." So once I knew the style of music, then I knew the artist to surround him. So I contacted Billy Gibbons, Clapton, Ben Harper, Warren Haynes, all friends, and no one said no. So the first one was actually called Roots, and that had his brother Edgar on it, Jimmy Vivino, Vince Gill on Maybelline, duh. And then Step Back, same thing. But as this was progressing, if people see this Down and Dirty movie, you'll see that he got off all these bad things that he was doing. It was crazy. He was a child of the 60s, Woodstock kind of thing. So the songs were having more energy. So Step Back went through the roof. And unfortunately, he passed. But he heard all the mixes, and we were in the studio. I played the mixes for him. He said, "Paul, if we don't get a Grammy for this, they're nuts." And I go, "Well, you don't try to make a record to get a Grammy, but it would be nice." And then he passed, and we got it. He had never gotten a Grammy for one of his solo works. He got it for 3 of them for working with Muddy. So this was a great honor for me. It was like, he was like a father figure to me. He loved my playing. Of course, I loved his. And it was a real big deal. And I'm very proud of that. And then I did Joe Louis Walker's album the next year, and I got a Grammy nomination for that. So, people realized that I'm not a one-trick pony. So that was also enjoyable.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that because 2 years later, 2017, you were nominated for a Grammy, right, for the Contemporary Blues album.
Man, you've done your homework.
Huh?
I said, "Man, you've done your homework."
Walker on a week or two ago, and talk about the creation of that album, Paul, the 2017 album.
Same thing. I love the producing aspects of it too. Because you're looking inside, you're looking from the outside in on a chess game. So you see the moves, you see how to get them the sounds they want to make them comfortable. It's like the director of the movie. It's the same thing. Sometimes the director is in the movie. Sometimes the producer is in the music on the album. So I played on Joe's CD as well. Great voice, great player. Traditional blues with a little R&B and soul, and the thing just hit, and bam, got another one. So that's what I do as well.
Now, Paul, your music has reached millions, right? Now I saw your appearance on Letterman and Kimmel, which you did a fantastic job. How was that experience like for you?
That was great. But what people don't know is that Johnny, I think he was in the record books for the longest time between reappearing on a show. He had appeared there when it was the early stages of Letterman, and then he came back. I think it was like 30-something years, they told me. And that day, he goes, "I have a cold. We're not going."
Really?
I go, "What?" I go, "You're going to drink some throat coat. You're going to take some lozenges. We're going to hop in that limo. We're going." And I go, "As a matter of fact, your voice is actually a little rougher, so it's going to sound more bluesier." I go, "It's 3.5 minutes. That's all the time you get. You have to chop the song in half." So he goes, "Well, if I do good at rehearsal and I feel comfortable," I go, "I guarantee it, you're going to be fine." And I could see that he was doing well. So we went there, and I told Paul Schaefer, "Look, I just want the horn section to play with us. You play with us. We got the bass and the drums and the guitar covered." And wham, he nailed it. We all nailed it. And Letterman was he was floored. And it was very important for Johnny's career. People were now seeing him the way he has aged, where he was in life. And he was very well received. And that led to a lot of good stuff for his career after that. And then Kimmel was great because we played with Lady Gaga, and she got...
I saw that. I saw that.
She got carried out on like a Roman chariot, and she was wearing a full dress made out of white coffee filters. And Johnny was like, "What the hell is that?" But after the show, she came up and said, "Can I get a picture with Johnny Winter?" She knew.
Wow.
She knew. Johnny was the type of artist, you put him in a room, every other major artist. Is that Johnny Winter? He was revered, and that's
pioneer. Definitely a pioneer, huh?
Totally. Yep. And then we had Clapton on the record. We had Billy Gibbons, Ben Harper, all great guys. A lot of them were in the movie. So, yep.
Now, talk about your creation, Badass Generation.
Well, after Johnny passed, musicians have to continue. Johnny will always be a part of me. His playing is in me. Musicians are like sponges. Whatever you hear musically always sticks with you. So, and the blues community, and now even the blues rock community, is really cool because they like when an artist comes from another artist, carrying the torch kind of thing. So that's what's happened with me, fortunately, and you have to come up to bat. So I came out. Sony said, "Look, it's time for you to put out a record. It's time to launch your career." Booking agents were behind me, so I always, like other musicians, have your eye on this drummer, this bass player, this keyboardist. So I got Danny Lewis from Government Mule on keys. I got a great drummer from Papa Chubby. I got a bass player from Samantha Fish. Singer Morton Fredheim from Europe. He was number 2 on The Voice over there. Put it all together, and music just started pouring out of me. We finished that stuff in 2 weeks. Sony put it out, and the rest is musical lore, history, as they say. So now I'm in the process of working on another album, more blues-based, and we've been hitting it. I mean, we sold out shows. It's been great. The energy's great. It's a show, a party atmosphere, a lot of guitar playing, a lot of cool stuff. And again, that blues and rock crowd, family, fans, they show up, and that's the network. Those are the ones that go on the rock and blues cruises. Those are the ones that go to the festivals. So it's a great family to be a part of.
We're talking to blues icon Paul Nelson. Paul, I want to ask you about your upcoming shows, but before that, here's a tough question. If you had to rank the top, put yourself aside, you had to rank the top 10 guitarists, who would you put number 1, number 2, putting yourself aside?
The ones that are around with us today?
Of all time.
Oh, all time. Well, I don't want to get stuck like that Rolling Stone list, which everybody's still talking about.
I'm just curious to see what you say.
Well,
top
of
3,
course
putting yourself aside.
All right. Obviously, Hendrix, obviously Clapton, Billy Gibbons. But see, I'm more versatile, so I would put Jeff Beck up there. I would put guys like Robin Ford and Larry Carlton, those type of guys, But the old, obviously the Freddie King, B.B. King, Albert King, Johnson, Robert Johnson. For slide, I play slide as well. All the T-Bone Walker. There's so many, and there's so many idioms. We're at a good time now where the genres of music are mixed together. So, if you go see a Warren Haynes show, you see him playing a tribute to Freddie King. You see him doing Government Mule music. You see him doing blues stuff. Then 2 minutes later, he's doing a tribute to AC/DC. Then he's playing some Dead stuff. So that list can now be talked about by an artist that's supposed to be blues or supposed to be rock, because it's all acceptable now. And actually, it's almost expected. And it allows musicians to stretch on albums like never before, where they could play a bunch of stuff and add instrumentation that usually wouldn't fit their genre. So, all those guys are influences, but there's so many more. There's country guys, Vince Gill, and, the list is, but the top, Hendrix, Clapton, Beck. And then when you get to your blues guys, BB, all the Kings.
Interesting.
Yep.
Now your website, paulnelsonguitar.com. Let's talk about your upcoming shows.
Okay. Just finished one. Well, the Netherlands, like I said. I'm in PA now where it's freezing. We just did one. We're doing another show tomorrow. Then we got a little time off. Then whammo, we have shows up in Massachusetts. Then we head to Jamaica. I did this festival last year, the Winterfest, with my friend Sonny Landreth, Samantha Fish. Now we're doing it with Anna Popovic, Peter Ver from Rare Earth. So that's going to be a nice week down in Jamaica. I recommend everybody go there. It's between the 23rd and the 30th. It's a great vacay. Right on the same street as the Island Exodus thing for Warren. So a lot of people go to both. And then it really starts. It's just show after show after show. And they're just coming in like gangbusters. So we're headlining a lot of festivals. But yeah, at that website, or if you just Google Paul Nelson, it comes up. My whole team is on top of that the social media and posting on all the formats. So it's all good. But a lot of stuff. About 200 and something shows a year now.
Everyone listening, it's paulnelsonguitar.com, and if they could purchase some of your merchandise right on that website, right, Paul?
Absolutely, and I recommend everybody go and help every artist and press that like button. Just hit it. Likes are very valuable now. People don't want to have this flow of stuff, but if you're into what we're doing and other artists, press the button.
Now, Paul, for the holiday season, we have a cut of one of your songs. Do you want to let us explain to us what we're going to hear?
Okay. There's a little backstory. I'll make it quick. I did a big festival in North Carolina when it was warm several months ago, and on the bill was all these Woodstock artists and Corky Lang was on there, and then other artists from that era, Vanilla Fudge with Carmine Appice, Jefferson Starship, Mitch Ryder. I mean, just tons. And I met one of the musicians, Anthony Krizan from the Spin Doctors. So we were like the youngest guys, so we hung out together. I said, look, we need to do something together. So a few months later, I said, look, why don't we just do a Christmas song to get our little collaboration juices flowing here? And I went to a studio on the East Coast, went down there, and we knocked that out, and we just sent it out as a single. I have a couple other singles. I did actually a cover of a Slade song, Merry Christmas, Everyone, and Freddie King's Christmas Tears, but this was an original. You know, it's one thing to cover all these Christmas songs, and everybody's heard Jingle Bell, you know, that over and over. But this is an original, and we're really proud of that. So I hope it's all over the place. People have really been digging it. So I hope it becomes a Christmas standard.
And I'm sure it will. Let's hear it. Let's play Paul Nelson.
Christmas was the blues and a broken heart. Yeah, all I got for Christmas, baby, was the blues and a broken heart. Oh, I got a stocking full of pain. Just your picture in a frame, watching me fall apart. All I got for Christmas was the blues and a broken. Standing underneath the mistletoe, I see empty bottles of whiskey all around. Well, you kissed me off, baby, and you let me go. Now even Santa Claus don't let me down. Well, I'm gonna tell you, if things don't get better by New Year, I'm gonna ride me a reindeer straight on out of town. I'm one step forward and two steps back. Saw St. Nick slide down the chimney. to bring to someone to get over that woman I love that ain't never coming back.
That's great stuff, Paul. How long did that take you to make?
5 minutes.
No, really?
It happens quickly. You know, the music just pours out of you. So, yeah, it was very quick. I mean, literally, as far as the recording process and that kind of thing, but just the ideas and the lyrics and the music, it just comes very quickly to me. I'm pretty lucky in that respect.
Yeah, and I got 1 minute left. Final question,
and
Paul.
having a writing partner doesn't help either. I mean, Anthony is a great singer, performer. You know, he tours all over, so it was a great collaboration. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, final question, Paul. What do you think of today's music?
Love it. How's that?
What do you listen to in the car?
Everything. And when you're with a great bunch of musicians on tour bus or sitting on a plane and, hey, what are you listening to? You just listen to whatever they listen to, and they turn you on to stuff, and you hear stuff. Like you said earlier, you know, do you learn stuff from other guitar players? Of course. Hey, listen to this. Check this out. So you just have to be really open, because otherwise you're going to have no influx of ideas, and the music's just going to be stale, and it's just going to be copies of everything else. So, yeah, I'm very open to that. I guess that's my background as a session guy. You know, I play in a lot of different idioms, and I'm able to wear different hats for different situations. You know, that's how you keep your career going. So there we go.
Well, there it is. The website is paulnelsonguitar.com. Paul, I appreciate a few minutes. Great job, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Oh, thanks, buddy. And what are the odds of releasing a Christmas song right before Christmas? Tell me.
Oh, it's very rare.
Thanks, buddy. Same to you guys.
But it's a great job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. This was a pleasure, and happy holidays.
Likewise. That was legendary blues icon Paul Nelson. Again, we'll mention the website, paulnelsonsongguitar.com. paulnelsonsongguitar.com. I wish everyone happy holidays. Until next week, happy collecting to all.